Hey, how's it going? I'm Chris and I'm back with another video. Now this one has been a long time coming and I've been really looking forward to making this one. I've put so much effort into it and I can't wait for you to see it. So please do enjoy this brand new review video of the Tentbox Lite XL. So here it is, my long anticipated Tentbox Lite XL review video. If you're new to tent boxing and you're trying to figure out which tent to buy, it's also worth mentioning that I've previously made other review videos which you can find on this channel, most recently my Lite 2.0 reviews. I've had this Tentbox Lite XL for about 2 months now, and there's a couple of reasons why it's taken me until now to release this video. The first reason was because I wanted to actually sleep in the tent and use it first. That way I could give you genuine, honest feedback on how I found it. The second is because I wanted to wait until Tentbox had announced their new range of accessories for both the Lite 2.0 and the Lite XL. That way I can give you a fuller picture of what to expect from this tent. Just as I did with my Lite 2.0 review, I've created both shorter and longer versions of this video. This one is the longer version, which goes into more depth, whereas the shorter version is more of a summary video. Both are worth watching, but for those of you seriously considering buying this tent, this longer video is definitely the one to watch. The other thing I felt was important to mention before I continue is that I've designed this video to run alongside my Lite 2.0 review videos. Most people looking to buy a Lite model will be looking at either the 2.0 or the XL. Apart from their size, the tents are practically identical, so to save some time, I've decided to skim over some of the things in this video which I've already covered in more detail in my Lite 2.0 review videos. On the flip side, I've also learnt more about these tents since I've made those videos, so it's well worth watching both sets of videos before deciding which tent to buy, as you'll definitely pick up some pointers from both. I'll put the links at the end of this video to the Lite 2.0 reviews. When you do decide that you're ready to order a Tentbox tent, I've put a discount code on the screen for you, which you can use on the Tentbox website at checkout. It's my way of saying thank you for tuning in, and it can be used when ordering any model of tent, so it doesn't just have to be an XL. So please, grab yourself a discount on me. Finally, you'll also notice when watching this video that filming was done in multiple locations. I filmed in Lancashire, County Durham, and you're also going to see footage which was filmed at the Tentbox takeover in Ullswater. There's even a couple of outfit changes in here too, as I was wearing different clothes on different days. If that wasn't already enough, the cherry on the cake in this video is that I'm proud to be the first person to debut the first ever footage anywhere in the world of the brand new living pod for the Lite XL and the Lite 2.0. This has been gratefully supplied to me by Tentbox, so keep watching to find out more. So, without any further delay, let's crack on. So the first thing I wanted to get into before I get into anything else is the size of this tent. It is massive, it's huge. It's the first 4-person tent from Tentbox, designed for families, but obviously great for myself and like couples like myself and my wife who just want space inside of a tent. I'm going to get into that more later in the video review, but I just wanted to kind of state off the bat, if you are looking for a bigger tent, if you are a couple looking for a bigger tent, or if you are a family wanting a roof tent, this is absolutely the tent for you. 100%. It can fit 4 adults comfortably. So you'll be easily fine with 2 adults, 2 kids, 2 adults, 2 kids and a dog, 2 adults, a child and a dog, whatever kind of combination you've got going on, it will definitely 100% work. Now what I'm going to do before I go any further in the review is actually take off the rainfly cover. But I've already filmed some footage which you've previously seen of the tent with the rainfly cover on, but I want to show it you with the rainfly cover off, because basically what I'm going to do is put the tent into summer mode. So give me a second, I'll take that off and I'll come back to you. The Lite XL and the Lite 2.0 both come with this rainfly cover attached. For those of you wondering why you would remove this cover, essentially it allows you to stargaze easier on those clear nights. The hood has a clear plastic window covering your skylights, which does make stargazing more difficult, so removing the hood makes your view much clearer. The reason you might keep the hood attached is because it offers you additional protection from the weather. Without the cover attached, you'll be okay in light showers, but if you're expecting heavy rain and wind, I would recommend keeping the hood attached. Personally, I'll probably leave my cover on most of the time for 2 main reasons. Firstly, because the cover itself offers extra protection, not just from the rain, but also the sunlight too. And the second reason is because I just feel the tent looks much cooler with it on. Now, the good news for both the Lite XL and the Lite 2.0 is regardless of whether you keep your hood attached or not, it looks awesome in every colour. The colour you can see here is the slate grey, whereas the colour I filmed in my Lite 2.0 review was the sunset orange. Tentbox now also offer a new sexy forest green colour, which definitely gives me a tingle in all the right places. It's lovely, and I can't wait to see it in person. There is one more thing to consider beyond just how the colours look. I can't speak for the forest green, but after sleeping in both the sunset orange and the slate grey, the grey does have a big advantage for me, and that's because the grey blocks out more sunlight. It's all preference, but if you're a late sleeper like myself and my wife, and you prefer a darker tent, the grey will keep the tent darker in the morning. If you're more of a get up and go kind of person, then the sunset orange might be better for you. I've not seen the green in action, but I'd hedge my bets to say it's probably a little bit more on the darker side like the grey. Now, one thing I wanted to mention is that when you get a tent delivered from Tentbox, everything is included inside the box to mount the tent on your vehicle. Everything except the roof bars. Now, if you don't have roof bars on your vehicle already, the best thing I advise you do is reach out to Tentbox, speak to one of their product specialists, and they'll be able to advise you on what roof bars you need to go on your vehicle. Get them shipped as well, along with your tent, and then you'll have everything you need to put the tent on your car. Now, inside the box, you're going to have a ladder, and you're going to find a little goodie bag which has got a few bits and bobs in and some fairy lights, which you can see here, and one of these bags, okay? Now, inside this bag, you've basically got your, you've got a little 13mm spanner, and that's what you'll use to basically mount the tent on your vehicle. Now, the second item I wanted to show you is basically this. So a lot of people ask what this is, and it's essentially, it looks a bit like this. It's got these little sort of attachments on the end. I don't know if you can really see that, but it's got these little attachments, little Tentbox logo, and it's basically got four, sorry, this is really long, hard to get hold of. It's basically got four ends on it, and what it is, it's basically a big X, and it mounts underneath this base here, and essentially what it is, it's a cargo strap for storing items underneath the base of the tent. So it mounts it across underneath, you can see it here in this other footage, and essentially it mounts underneath and you can store items underneath the tent. It's a really cool idea, but a lot of people weren't sure what it is, so that's what it is. Tentbox have recently announced some accessories, and included in these new accessories that they've announced is a cargo net, which will essentially, I'm assuming, will replace that. But I've ordered one, but I've not received it yet. They don't get dispatched just yet. So yeah, at the moment, it's just the X cargo straps. But yeah, a nice little added extra, really cool little item, just for storing a few bits and bobs under the tent base. Now, the third item that's included in the blue bag is basically some bungee cords. And a lot of people wonder what these bungee cords are for. And as you can see in this footage, they're basically for mounting inside of the tent when you're opening and closing the tent. Okay, so essentially when you open up the tent, you'll go inside and the bungee straps will be running across the tent. And what it's for keeping the fabric tucked in when you're closing the tent up. So it makes it far, far easier to close the tent when the fabric is being pulled in as well. And that's basically what the bungee cords do. It's a really cool addition to the new XL and the new Lite 2.0. And I didn't mention this in my Lite 2.0 review videos because when I borrowed the 2.0 tent from Tentbox, I didn't have the bungee cords. So I only really found out about them when I got my XL. But that's what they're for. So if you get the bungee cords and you're not sure what to do with them, they clip on the little hooks inside the tent. I just keep the little plastic bag up there. I just roll them up, stick them in the plastic bag, and I shove them in one of the little black pockets that are up inside the tent. And I just keep them there the whole time until I come to pack the tent away. Now, a pro top tip I'm telling you based on my experience putting this tent on my vehicle is that when you get your tent delivered, unbox it on the ground and then open it up while it's still on the ground, because everything you need is hidden inside of the tent. Don't do what I did and put the tent up on your car and then wonder where all the stuff is. So learn from me, don't do what I did. Open up the tent on the ground, get everything out, your ladder, your fitting kit, everything else, and then close it back up, and then you can go about lifting it and putting it up on top of your car. While I have already covered this in my Lite 2.0 review, I do want to briefly talk about opening up the tent. The only difference with the Lite XL compared to the Lite 2.0 is that there are 2 extra poles at each end with the XL. Also bear in mind that in the previous videos I didn't mention about the bungee cords, which I spoke about earlier in this video, so you will need to take them off when you open up the tent and when you close it. Just remember to keep them safe. I just store them up in the tent in one of the little pockets so they don't get lost. To open up the tent, first undo the 2 outer straps and store them away. You can even wrap them around your roof bars if you're expecting some wind. Next, unzip the outer cover all the way around the tent. This will loosen off the outer cover and allow you to pull it out over the tent. There are 2 more straps to undo, and then you need to extend the ladder. This is where I find a step ladder comes in handy to reach the top of the tent, especially if you're shorter or have a higher vehicle like mine. To open the tent, take a hold of the ladder, push down, and at the same time pull the ladder back towards you. This will bring the tent out into a level position. There's a bit of a knack to this, but it's simple enough to master. This will allow you to open the tent. Just be sure when you lower it down to check that the outer cover or straps are not getting caught in the joint underneath. You can then roll up your outer cover, which stores away conveniently under the tent using the straps. Next, attach all the tent poles to the tent base and the outer cover. That's 4 poles for each end and 1 on either side. Give the base one final check to make sure it's level, and then you're ready to go. Once you're up inside, you'll probably want to open some windows and doors. Just roll them up and use the toggles, easy peasy. I've covered this in more detail already in both my Lite 2.0 review videos, and I've also made a separate video about opening and closing the Lite 2.0, which you can find on this channel. The Lite XL features a new outer travel cover. It's PVC back cordura and is identical to the new cover on the Lite 2.0. It's more durable, more weatherproof, and has a higher UV resistance rating than the cover on the Lite 1.0. The other new feature is the inclusion of a YKK zip that runs all around the bottom of the cover, providing not only a more secure fit on the tent, but also prevents water ingress. Just like the Lite 2.0, the new outer XL cover fits better over the tent. It gives you a little more room when fitting the cover, so it's not as snug. The second big upgrade is the new foot-friendly step ladder. What I mean by foot-friendly is that the ladder steps have been designed to lay flat when the ladder is out at an angle, which makes it much more comfortable to climb when barefoot or wearing socks. Just like the Lite 2.0, the XL receives a new pole bag, which slots into the C-channel and allows you to keep the bag in place. With the Lite 1.0, users complained about having nowhere to store their poles and pole bags and ended up losing them. This way, your poles and pole bag can stay in the same place all the time. One of the big questions that's always asked is about the mattress and how comfortable it is. For me and my wife, the mattress is absolutely fine as it is, but it really does depend and it's completely different for everybody. The included mattress features dual layer foam with a memory foam topper in the mattress, but some people have said they need additional toppers to be comfortable. I've had back surgery myself, so it's really important to me that I get a good night's sleep, and like I said, the mattress that's included has been absolutely fine. So my advice would be to try it first and see how you feel. If it's a little hard for you, you can always buy a topper later, but I certainly wouldn't stress or rush out and buy something before your tent arrives because you just don't know how you're going to find it. It really does vary from person to person, so I wouldn't go off other people's opinions on the mattress comfort. Just see for yourself. Just while I'm on the topic of mattresses, I wanted to show you this clip here. This is some footage from my Lite 2.0 review, and as you can see, I've got my big large sleeping bag laid out inside the Lite 2.0. Now, it is a 2-person tent, which shows you just how big the sleeping bag is, but just by comparative, if you have a look at this footage here, you can see I've got 2 of the same sleeping bag laid side by side inside the Lite XL, which shows you just how big the XL is inside. Now, don't let the sleeping bags fool you. It's definitely a 4-person tent because they're very big sleeping bags. But just show you again, the Lite 2.0, there's a little bit of room either side. Whereas when you look at the footage again of the Lite XL with the 2 bags laid side by side, you can see that the difference in the width is very apparent. I've already mentioned that it's big, but this is the biggest of all the Tentbox models. The Lite 2.0, the Classic and the Cargo models are all 2-person tents. The Lite 1.0 is a 2 to 3 person tent, and the Lite XL is a 4-person tent. The XL is 20 centimeters longer than the Lite 2.0 and 50 centimeters wider. It's very spacious. If you're wondering about weight capacity, both the XL and the Lite 2.0 will hold 300 kilograms inside, and the latter is rated to hold 150 kilos on both tents. So if you're thinking about buying this tent, you're probably wondering, will it fit on my vehicle? There's two things to consider: roof bars and roof load limits. Firstly, you'll need to make sure that you get the appropriate roof bars for your vehicle. Like I've said before, Tentbox can help you with this, so reach out to them directly for some advice. The second thing to consider is roof load limits. Every vehicle has a roof load limit. This refers to how much weight you can carry on your car roof while you're driving. What your vehicle's roof load limit is may end up dictating which tent you buy, so to be 100% sure, check in your vehicle's manual. As long as you're not breaking the weight limit of the tent, you'll be fine while you're stationary, so don't worry about that. Just be sure to confirm your vehicle's dynamic weight limit. Tentbox can help you with this if you're unsure. Just like the Lite 2.0, the XL features two Skylights, which is an upgrade over the Lite 1.0. The tent is 4-season rated, which makes it great for camping in both summer and winter. If you're worried about getting cold in the winter months, Tentbox have released a new thermal kit accessory for both the Lite XL and the Lite 2.0 tents, giving you that extra bit of comfort in the colder weather. Remember, nothing beats a good sleeping bag, and if you're able to make up a hot water bottle, that will help too. But the new thermal kit will go a long way to helping make winter camping more possible for a lot of people. For those of you wondering how the tent will hold up in the wind, it's rated up to 39 miles an hour, or gale force 8. Cost-wise, the Lite XL sits in the middle of the Tentbox range, coming in at slightly more than its little brother, but not as much as the Classic and the Cargo models, which are hard shell tents. I do discuss this a little later in the video. So, this is the inside of the XL. It is big, like I've already mentioned. It's currently set up in the summer configuration, so I don't have the fly cover on, hence why I can put my arm out of the skylight. And I've currently got one skylight open and one closed, so that's why I'm in the shadow, because the one in the foreground is closed. Like I said before about the rainfly cover, you do have the option to take it on and off. I will probably leave it on more than I'll take it off, but particularly if, like I said, if you get a clear night, you can lie here and look at the stars completely what's the word I'm looking for? I can't think of the word. What's the word? Put it on the screen, Chris. I showed a family around this tent about a month ago, and they've got 2 kids, and they said, we could sit in the tent and play a board game. There's just so much space, and it's true, and it's just me and my wife when we're doing this, but there's just so much room and plenty of room for me to stretch out, plenty of room for both of us to stretch out. Yeah, just very, very spacious. And I think one of the big things is the Skylights really do help make things more spacious, compared to the Cargo that didn't have, obviously, any windows on the roof. Just having the Skylights does let a lot more light in, makes it feel a lot more spacious. Yeah, it's just really, really nice. All the windows have the fly net meshing on just to keep out all the midges. And so you've got windows on all sides as well as the 2 skylights. All of them come complete with this fly netting and the outside covers as well. And then you've got your rain cover to go on top of that. Inside the tent, you've got, same as the Lite 2.0, you've got 4 little pockets just to put little bits in. So I tend to put like my car keys, AirPods, that kind of thing, phone charger. They'll go in the little pockets. And then you've also got this sort of cool little hanging pocket with some Tentbox branding on, and it's got some care instructions, as well as just an important notice to make sure that you have a fantastic time, have lots of fun and have lots of adventures. And that's quite a nice little thing to have. Inside, you've got 3 poles that are kind of basically are the frame of the tent to keep it up. What I tend to do is I've bought a iPad mount with a clamp mount. So what I do is I tend to clamp that on one of the top bar, and then I'll have it hanging down, and we can just lie in bed at night and watch a film on the iPad. So that's quite nice. When I'm on an electric hookup, my big power block has 2 little kind of hook things on the back, so I can I can hook that onto the frame, which again is a nice little addition to having the XL or a Lite model over the cargo, because there was nowhere to put that in the cargo. We always used to just have to put the big power block when we were on electric hookup. We always had to put it down in our feet, and it was kind of always in the way. In this tent, it's just hooked up out the way, which is really, really good. The other thing I wanted to talk about really quickly was just condensation, or the lack of condensation. So I found in my previous cargo, my old cargo, I used to have condensation all the time. Every morning when we wake up, there'd be condensation on the floor underneath the mattress, as well as condensation on the roof. And even if we left the windows open at either side a little bit to let the air flow, you still had condensation. Now, in my Lite 2.0 review video, I mentioned that I'd spent 2 nights in that tent and didn't have any condensation. And I'm pleased to say that I've spent 7 nights in this tent so far. And each one of those nights, I've woke up the following morning and I've had 0 condensation, both on the mattress, underneath the mattress, on the fabric, nothing. It's just been completely bone dry. And also to worth mentioning that I've had the hot water bottle in with me a lot of them nights as well, so creating the extra heat, the hot water bottle, but still no condensation whatsoever. So the ventilation on this tent is fantastic, and honestly a big upgrade over my original cargo model. The other thing I felt was important to mention for people who are just getting into tent boxing is that if you're looking at buying your first tent box, make sure that you get your tent insured and you look at your security options for keeping it safe. I don't want to go into too much detail in this video, but I'll make a separate video on security and insurance and post the link in the description to this video when that's ready. So when I made my Lite 2.0 review video back in April, I made mention that Tentbox were planning on releasing some new accessories in the future for both the Lite 2.0 and the Lite XL. But at the time of making that video, I didn't know what those accessories were going to be. But now I do, and I'm going to discuss them momentarily. And the reason I wanted to include talking about them in this video is because for me, those accessories were an important factor in my decision to buy the XL. So when I was thinking about changing from the cargo to the XL, the accessories played an important part in that decision-making process, and that's why I felt it was really important to discuss them in this video. So let's get into that now. I've already spoken in this video about the new thermal kit and the new cargo net, but there are some other accessories too. There is a new windbreak which attaches to the base of the tent, and it's compatible with all the Lite models, including the Lite 1.0. There is also a new boot bag for storing your shoes while you're up in the tent, and also some new utility pockets for storing various items while you're pitched up. These are all fantastic little additions, and while they may not seem like much, I'm a big believer that the little details count, and I'm sure these accessories will go down really well with Tentbox owners. But for me, the biggest addition to this range of tents is the new living pod. This is one of the main reasons I decided to switch from my cargo to the Lite XL. The living pod is basically an annex that attaches to the side of your tent and provides you with a large enclosed functional space beneath your tent. It's ideal for seeking refuge either in the rain or on those really sunny days, or even if you just want some privacy, it's perfect. One of the issues I had with my cargo was when we spent a night in the Cairngorms and I had to go out to the portable toilet in the middle of the night. It was chucking it down and I got soaked to the bone, and at 3 AM I just struggled to get comfortable again. With the living pod, you're protected from all the elements, so whether it's a midnight toilet run or you find yourself having to shelter from the bad weather, you can cook, relax and go to the toilet all within the space of your tent. Available for both the Lite XL and the Lite 2.0, the living pod comes in 2 different heights, one for normal cars and a taller one for higher vehicles such as vans and pickup trucks. If you're unsure which one to order, reach out and ask Tentbox. There is a door on the front allowing you to access the main ladder, and there is also a door at the rear allowing you to access your vehicle. The living pod also comes with a ground sheet which you can use if you wish. The living pod also has a wing mode which you can see in these pictures here, allowing you to change the way that the living pod works. The living pod attaches easily and equally stores away neatly in a small bag to be used when you choose. The only difference between the Lite XL and the Lite 2.0 living pods will be the slightly bigger space you're going to have under your tent. This is because the Lite XL is bigger. If you're trying to decide between a Lite XL and a Lite 2.0, then having the extra space to relax under the tent, together with a living pod, may help you make your decision. I know it did for me, And while it might seem like such a little detail, like I've already said earlier, the little details count. If you're trying to decide between a Lite XL, a Lite 2.0 and you're considering also the Lite 1.0, it's worth mentioning that the new Living Pod is not compatible with the Lite 1.0. The Lite 1.0 does have its own annex, but the annex does not cover the ladder. So, again, all of this should be considered. I knew back in March that Tentbox were launching the Living Pod, and it's a big reason why I sold my cargo and bought the XL. I can't stress how cool this is, and I'm really looking forward to receiving mine and using it. I'll definitely make a dedicated video for the Living Pod when it arrives, so be sure to subscribe if you don't already.
Now, I felt it was really important to talk about why I've decided to ditch my cargo and buy a Tentbox Lite XL. Because you might be thinking, well, I have a cargo or a classic, and I'm thinking, do I make the switch to an XL? Or you might be just coming into Tentbox fresh and wondering, which model do I buy? Do I buy a Lite 2.0, an XL, a classic, a cargo? What model do I go for? And I felt it was important for me to talk about my reasons, because those reasons might connect with you. But the other thing I wanted to mention briefly before I get into that is to dispel a myth, and that myth is that the cargo and the classic models are superior tents or upgrades over the Lite models. In my opinion, they are not. I've been around Tentbox for a long time, a few years now, and I've seen all the models of tents. The classic and the cargos are very good tents, but they are not upgrades over the Lite models, okay? The only difference and the reason why the classic and the cargo cost more money is because they are manufactured different, okay? They are hard shell tents, whereas the Lite models are soft shell tents. So what that means is basically all the tents have an aluminium base. So this has an aluminium base, just like the classic and just like the cargo, okay? But the difference is with this one, it's got a soft shell top, whereas the classic has a fiberglass top and the cargo has an aluminium top, okay? They are hard shell tents, and hard shell tents by nature cost more money to manufacture and therefore cost more money to buy. That's why they're more expensive, okay? The Lite models are soft shell tents. They're soft shell tents, they're cheaper to make, therefore they don't cost as much to buy. Okay, that's the only difference between them. Now, there are other factors as to why someone may choose a cargo or a classic over a Lite model, but for me, that's not an upgrade or a downgrade thing. It's not superior or inferior. They are just different. So if you're coming into this and you're seeing people, I want to upgrade to a classic, I want to upgrade to a cargo, it's not an upgrade, it's a switch. It's a switch, okay? I don't in any way think that by me making the switch from my cargo to my XL that I have downgraded in any way to an inferior product. Far from it. I love this tent. I much prefer this tent than the cargo for reasons I'm about to get into, but I just wanted to dispel that myth because I felt it was really important for those people who still getting used to the idea of a tent box and trying to figure out what to do. I didn't want you to get caught out, but let me talk a little bit more about why I love this tent and why I made the switch.
So I've been asked this question a lot over the last few months as to why I decided to swap from my cargo to the XL, and it came down to a couple of reasons. Just for clarity, the decision to switch was not a financial one, so it wasn't a case of me needing the money or anything like that. I was very happy with my cargo and I had no plans to sell it at all, but as soon as I saw the XL when it was announced, I knew it was the right tent for us. I spoke to my wife and she completely agreed. This was a gut feeling which came from 3 years of camping in our cargo, and in that time learning more about the way in which we camped. We both felt that an XL would be better suited for our needs. Many people choose a cargo model so that they can carry items on the top, such as kayaks, pedal bikes, and I've seen lots of people mount solar panels to them. I never did any of that with my cargo and I had no plans to. Our kayaks are inflatable, we've got a tow bar bike rack, and we've got a portable solar panel. For us, I had two main reasons for wanting to switch to the Lite XL. One, it's far bigger inside than the cargo. I'm 6'3" and the extra sleeping room is a game changer. I couldn't comfortably lie on my back to sleep in the cargo as my toes touch the other end, but the extra 25 centimeters in length on the XL makes a huge difference. It's not just about the extra length for sleeping though. When you're stuck in the tent on a rainy day or an evening, you don't feel as cooped up in the XL like we did in the cargo. There's much more room inside, not only to stretch out but also to sit up. You could easily sit around inside and play a board game and have plenty of room in there to move around. When you look at the measurements, the extra length and width doesn't seem to be a lot, but trust me, it makes a big difference. The other reason I wanted to change to the XL is because of the new living pod, which I've already explained. Having an enclosed space with a ladder inside, giving you space to hide away from the bad weather or even the sun, is again another game changer. Not only is this practically a very good addition, but it looks awesome too. These are the two big reasons at the time for my decision to change to the Lite XL. But since the announcement of the new accessories, I'm adding a third reason, which is the new thermal kit. Again, I've already mentioned this, but being able to camp in the cold weather and be a little bit more comfortable and warmer in the tent will make all the difference. There's nothing wrong with being more comfortable while camping. So I've talked about everything I love about this tent, but it's equally as important to discuss any negatives or any potential negatives. The first issue I had is that when my tent arrived, the zip for the outer cover had been crushed during transit. It turns out it wasn't an isolated incident, and this wasn't Tentbox's fault, and Tentbox did send me out a replacement part promptly, which for me is a sign of excellent customer service. The second issue I've had is that my outer cover has started to rip near one of the outer straps. It seems to have been rubbing on the thin metal trim on the edge of the tent base, but again, I've spoken to Tentbox and they're sorting out a replacement for me. The third thing I wanted to mention is the setup and pack down time. Now this is something that's more of a potential negative for somebody coming from a cargo, and it's to do with how long it takes to set this tent up and pack it down compared to the cargo tent. It's 5 minutes for the light models and 30 seconds for the cargo. Is this an issue for me? No. If it takes 5 minutes, it takes 5 minutes, because when I'm camping, I've got lots of time on my hands anyway. So really, it is a non-issue for me, and it certainly wouldn't impact my decision when choosing to buy the Tentbox Lite XL or the Tentbox Lite 2.0. The other issue some people have is that you can't store the bedding inside this tent, whereas you can on a classic and a cargo model. Now the cargo model I used to have was the older version of the cargo compared to what's sold now, and I couldn't store my bedding in that tent either. So for me, I've never been able to do that, therefore it's not an issue. But I thought I'd mention it as you might care, and it may come into consideration for you when choosing between models. I mentioned in my Lite 2.0 review video about the inside zips being a little bit fiddly on the side windows. It's exactly the same on the XL, but it really isn't a major issue. There's just a bit of a knack to it, but it's not a problem. The biggest issue I've had coming from the cargo to the XL is actually nothing to do with the tent itself, but it's to do with mounting the awning. Now on my old cargo, I used to mount the awning directly on the side of the tent using the cargo awning brackets. This was much easier to mount it, but it also meant that the awning was slightly higher up. Now I've got the Lite model, I need to attach the awning to the roof bars. It is an absolute faff on to sort out and get it installed, but once it's done, you have no reason really to ever fiddle with it again. All I'd say is if you're mounting an awning with a Lite model, it's easier to mount the awning when the tent is not attached to the roof bars, and then attach the tent afterwards. Now in my Lite 2.0 review video, I made mention about a difficulty mounting the awning together with the tent, and this was due to the tent being too close to the back of the awning, therefore I couldn't actually get the tent poles in the tent. So I made mention in that video about having to possibly offset the tent further over on the roof bars in order to fit the awning. Now, just as a bit of an update on that, I tried doing that when I installed my XL and it didn't work. I had the XL offset all the way over to the other side and I still couldn't get the poles in the tent. So the only way I've been able to figure it out so far is to turn the awning brackets upside down and have them pointing downwards. So at the moment this works, but the problem with that is my awning is now sitting slightly lower. It's not a major issue, but I am trying to work out a solution that will allow me to have the awning upwards, and if I manage to do that, I'll post it on this channel. So how do I sum this all up? Well, if you're considering buying this tent and you're looking for that little nudge over the line, I'm more than happy to give it to you. This tent is amazing. If you're new to Tentbox and you're thinking about whether to pull the trigger and order one, I appreciate it's a lot of money to part with, but I guarantee you that what you're going to get is much more than just a tent. I've had a Tentbox for 3 years now and I just love the roof tent life. It's far more convenient than traditional camping. You can camp pretty much anywhere, anytime, and have a fantastic experience. We've seen some amazing places in the past few years and I'm really looking forward to seeing many more. Being able to wake up, unzip your window and be looking out on a beautiful sunrise, the ocean waves or some snow-topped mountains is something you can't put a price on. Yes, it's a lot more money than most people would spend on a normal tent, But I can honestly say that with every fibre of my being that it's absolutely worth it. If you're thinking about buying one, I promise you, you will never regret it. I love getting away in the tent and going kayaking. There's something completely freeing about it all, and I love nothing more than being outdoors, cooking, and then sitting around a fire or snuggling in the tent and watching a movie. If you've got a cargo or a classic and you're thinking about making the switch, I have no regrets. The extra space makes a huge difference, not just for sleeping, but for living in the tent too. Everyone's requirements from a tent are different, and I appreciate that, but hopefully this video has helped you decide whether this tent is for you. I can't say 100% which will be the best model for you, but what I can say is that if you do decide to invest in a tent box, you'll never regret it. There is a great community spirit within Tentbox. We get lots of waves from fellow tent boxers while we're on the road, and we've met plenty of tent box travellers over the past few years. You really do feel like part of a family. If you're thinking about ordering a tent, just do it. You won't regret it, and remember to use my exclusive code at checkout on the Tentbox website to grab yourself a discount. Your next adventure is just around the corner and it's waiting for you, and hopefully I'll see you at some point on the road in the future. Thanks for watching and happy travels.